All right, good morning, family. It's a beautiful Monday. Great to be with you. August 31st, 2020. A lot is going on today surrounding the world, and in particular, your boy, Nate Ivey, the most outspoken and unfiltered black man in Cincinnati media. We'll get the show started in just a couple of minutes. Numerous things to discuss this morning. Of course, we got to pay our respects to Chadwick Boseman, the actor who portrayed Black Panther. His passing, and also the movie Black Panther, which was actually shown commercial-free last night on network television, we'll discuss it, has inspired part of today's conversation. Also, why are so many people fake mad about Shaun King? I'm going to keep it real with you about the so-called controversy surrounding him on social media. Plus, I'll catch you up on what's going on this week. We've got more political candidates calling in today. I'll tell you who. Also, I'll be your moderator for the NAACP Prince Hall Mason this week. They're doing a virtual town hall with candidates we must discuss. Don't go anywhere. Hey, family, please take a second to like and in particular share today's show so that people can be blessed with the flow this morning. Don't go anywhere. We'll get started in less than 1 minute.
Listening to the Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Nate Ivey with you. What's up to the choppers? Viva la choppers. Good morning to you. What's up, Facebook fam? Hope you're doing well. I am excellent. Blessed far more than I should be. Good morning to you. Let me make sure I get myself on the screen. Hey, what's up? Good morning. Welcome to my home studio. Nate Ivey with you. Let me tuck the chain right here. There you go. That's how I like to rock it. Good morning to you. It's where I do what I do. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great Monday morning. A lot of things to talk about. I don't know about what you, and I'm not sure where you were, but where were you when you heard about the passing of Chadwick Boseman? Chadwick Boseman was a tremendous young black actor who played a lot of really, really iconic roles. I mean, he played James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, Jackie Robinson, of course, everyone's favorite Black Panther, which was actually shown last night, commercial free. They showed it on network television. I believe it was ABC. My wife, my son, and my daughter, my family were watching it last night. I was preparing for today's show, getting my thoughts together. I got a lot of things going on. I want to be sharp this morning. I want to give you a heads up. Tomorrow we'll kick off a series of 3 virtual town hall meetings from the Cincinnati NAACP and the Prince Hall Masons. And it's going to be hosted by Sin Digital Media. I'll be your moderator. That's right. Yours truly. Looking forward to it. And guess what? Tomorrow we kick it off with the Hamilton County Sheriff race. That's right. Bruce Hoffbauer, finally. And also Charmaine McGuffey. So make sure you check it out at 6 p.m. Followed by the Hamilton County Prosecutors race. Yes, that's right. Fanon Rucker, Joe Dieters. And next week, of course, I'll give you more details. We'll start right there. I'll give you more details as the week goes on and on. Good morning to you. So if you got questions, you already know, hit me up with a message. I think the best way so they don't get lost is hit me up with a direct message. That would be best. You can also leave it inside the Chop Shop. Sometimes, depending on how many messages you get on Facebook with some of these live streams, they just kind of get lost in the sauce. Like you can't get access to all of them. And if you got good questions and you want to make sure you try to get in, you want to make sure that I get them, receive them, and can possibly get them in, send them to me. The door is always open. Good morning to you. I want to talk about Black Panther or Killmonger. And of course, that conversation is inspired by the passing of Chadwick Boseman and also inspired by the movie Black Panther. Came out a couple years ago. And I just want to update this conversation. We had this conversation right after the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, then you're going to be at a disadvantage and you're not really going to be able to answer. But if you have seen the movie, then you know that those 2 fictional characters had tremendously different worldviews when it came to Black people and how they wanted to help Black people. And so I want to take what was fiction and bring it into the real world and ask you that simple question. Very simple question. I mean, which worldview, Black Panther or Killmonger, do you identify with the most? Also, I want to talk about Shaun King. Shaun King got himself in some hot water, at least on social media. It's being widely reported. A lot of people talking about it within the last, I'd say, 36 hours, because he's got a new book coming out. And he had an email blast that was set up to help promote his book. And in the email blast, at least what I've read, if someone has more knowledge about it, please send it my way. But in the email blast, apparently he mentions Chadwick Boseman, like, hey, I'd be remiss in my duties, not to mention the death of the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And then in the next paragraph, he goes back to promoting his book. And some folks on social media ran with it. They ran with it hard. And I saw all kinds of headlines where people thought or feeling as if he's exploiting the death of Chadwick Boseman and, that he's trying to profit off of Black pain. I mean, there's a lot of different opinions out there, but I want to give you a strong opinion about that as well. And who knows, you may or may disagree with my opinion. I don't know. Black folks, all I'm saying is that we beautiful creatures. We are beautiful creatures, but sometimes we get caught up on dumb-ish. And when it comes to that Shaun King story, that's how I kind of feel about it. I didn't really understand. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? What's going on here? What? Huh? It's been confirmed. Let me talk about Chadwick Boseman and tell you why I like the brother. I like the brother because I like the way he carried himself. I thought he was a tremendous actor. Was he the best actor of all time? I mean, that means longevity. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to say with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 movies. We need to see you over a couple decades to see if you can really bring it, right? We need to see you over a multitude of different characters, right? Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning to you. Gibson writes, is there something wrong with Facebook? You're not on there live. To my knowledge, I am on live. There's a lot of folks out there who can hear the show. To my knowledge, I am on live. I don't know. You tell me. If you're having some issues on Facebook, please let me know. I'll try to correct them as soon as possible. Let me know. What's up, Gibson Financial Planning? But you're on YouTube. You're on YouTube. So we are on YouTube this morning as well. But yeah, I want to talk about Chadwick Boseman and why I like the brother and why I thought it was such a tremendous loss. I just like the way he carried himself. You know, if you never heard any him on caught up with any F-ish, you never heard about him caught up with some old crazy stuff, cheating on his wife or drugs or some wild stuff. He just seemed like, you know, he was an actor doing his thing. Simple as that. And I thought he was multi-talented. You know, Hollywood picked him to be that guy, to play those iconic roles. I mean, how do you go from playing Thurgood Marshall to Jackie Robinson to James Brown, right? And then jump into Black Panther. And I think the Black Panther role will be the role that he'll be known the most for. I think that'll be the role that he knows. Because call it what it is, man, those Marvel movies just have a wider reach than the non-Marvel movies. You know what I'm saying? Those Marvel movies go worldwide. You know what I'm saying? People love them. And, you know, you already know. Dale Rice, you good, Nate? Great. You already know. I've said it for years. I mean, I used to collect comic books when I was younger. Reading comic books helped to flesh out, you know, my connection, you know, with the English language to some degree. You know what I'm saying? It made me more literate. When I was younger, reading comic books used to run me to the dictionary because I read about these sci-fi scenarios and I didn't understand the words. And I wanted to follow along, so I would go to the dictionary to try to catch up. And it helped to expand my vocabulary. And then as a young Black boy growing up in America, I was in search for Black heroes. And there weren't a lot of Black heroes. There was no Black heroes on television at all. Way before the internet. Young Black and brown kids didn't have no heroes on TV whatsoever. So the heroes that I sort of gravitated to that looked like me were in comic books. They were in Marvel. I used to read a lot of Marvel. And I was drawn to the storylines because some of the storylines in those Marvel comic books, to me, were reflections of real life. I was a big fan of the X-Men because the way it was written, it was a reflection of the struggles of Black people in this country. If anybody knows anything about Marvel Comics and the X-Men, you know what I'm telling you is 100% true. So as a younger person, you know what I'm saying, preteen into teenage, you know, that's what I was into. That was a kind of fantasy and escapism that I wanted to get into. I wanted to get into the kind of escapism and where there were positive reflections and superhero reflections of me. I mean, Superman is cool and all. Batman is cool. They cool, you know, they cool and all, but they ain't Black Panther. I'm sorry. And then I remember when I came across the Black Panther, you know, storyline, I was hooked. Started collecting comic books. Still to this day, down in the basement. Got many older editions. You can see a couple up there. Started getting into, you know, the whole Black superhero thing. So I was very, very well versed in Wakanda and Black Panther. And I loved it. I loved the mythology of it. And if you don't know anything about it, you know, Black Panther was written specifically for that purpose. That's why Stan Lee and the illustrators and writers and creators created that character as a response to the void of Black superheroes, right? And the negativity around being a Black person in this country. That's why they started it. So it makes sense that somebody like me would gravitate toward it. I fell in love with all of it. I mean, the idea that it could be a place called Wakanda where Black people was running-ish. And not just running-ish, but, you know, it was Black excellence. You know, Wakanda equals Black excellence. If you don't know anything about the mythology, you've never read it before, I mean, Wakanda is a mythological kingdom, country within the continent of Africa, right? And they are the most technologically advanced country in the world in terms of the Marvel universe. What Black boy wouldn't get into that? And Black Panther wasn't one of those pushover. Sometimes you can see like some of these Black heroes or Black characters, and they're always tragically flawed, right, in some way. And Black Panther was none of that. He wasn't gay. Not to say anything wrong with being gay. I'm just telling you. He wasn't weak. He wasn't getting whooped by all the white superheroes. I'm just keeping it real with you, you know, from a Black male heterosexual standpoint. Take it or leave it. You take it any way you want to. And, you know, that was something that was very, very powerful for me. So when I heard about the movie, I remember I couldn't wait to talk with TT Stearns Enzi as well. Shout out to TT. He's a fellow Black Panther lover as well. I know he was really into the Marvel as well. I reached out to TT, but he's big time now. And he's got some stuff going on in the morning. Hopefully I can maybe do a recording with him, because I love to get his thoughts on what happens next. And I do have some insights on what can happen next with the Black Panther Part 2 movie. You know, that movie's supposed to come out in 2022. What's going to happen now? So I fell in love with Black Panther way before he got to the big time screen. You know what I'm saying? And I was just telling the wife, you know, I'm looking for hobbies, things to do with some of my little bit of free time that I have. Who knows? I might pick it back up and enjoy with my son now. Because now I go to my comics and I read them to him and he's into it. It's a great thing about fatherhood, so I can share that with him. Looking forward to it. So I may get back into that, less for collecting it and more for, like, you know, just enjoying the mythology with him, because Black boys need to see superheroes that look like them. You know what I'm saying? We live in a world that's completely marketized. You got all these different characters and all these vehicles for entertainment. I want to see some that enrich, enforce, and promote the kind of things that I believe in. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you. How do you feel about it? 513-873-7134. But going back to the movie for a second, I want you to think about this. This is inspired by the movie and the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Which vision for Black people from the movie do you agree with most? Like, if you could take what they were talking about from the movie and bring it into real life, which side would you be on? Of course, Black Panther was about integration. If you remember the movie, the first Black Panther movie that came out a couple years ago, King T'Challa, right, was near the end of the movie, and throughout it was wrestling and grappling with this big question. And the question was Wakanda going to reach out and integrate their knowledge, their resources with the rest of the world, or remain isolated, right? And King T'Challa in the movie was very aware of the struggles of Black people throughout the globe, but he was a man of peace. Right. He was working. He wanted Black liberation, but he wanted to use it through peaceful moves. Right. And he believed in sharing the knowledge from Wakanda with the entire globe. On the other hand, you had Killmonger, you're right, played by Michael B. Jordan. That was an iconic role, by the way. Hey, Auntie, remember that? Classic. We'll never forget it. But he was less about integration and more about isolation. He wanted Wakanda to remain a nation unto itself and not to share its knowledge with anybody else. He was willing to use the power and technology that Wakanda had to liberate Black people through war. He was ready to go. I think it was a line in the movie and he said, look, all the enemies of Wakanda, we coming after you. Right? And he was Black first. He was Wakanda first before anything else. I don't know. I think it's something we can talk about this morning. I'd like to get your thoughts about it. 513-873-7134. If you want to share your thoughts, I've got my number there. I just want to start with some stories to start your morning. I want to get your thoughts on it. Now, I also want to talk about colon cancer. I want to talk about colon cancer as well, because there is some information out there. Because that's what they say. That's what's being reported as to what Chadwick Boseman died from. Apparently, he was in the final stage of colon cancer, which I'm not telling you I'm a doctor, you know that, but I'm just saying, you know, it takes out a lot of people. And there are some things that you need to know about it. One thing you need to know about it is that there are studies out there that suggest that there's a strong correlation between colon cancer and what you actually eat, the foods that you actually take into your body. Okay. Food heals you. Food is medicine if you're eating the right foods. If you're eating trash food and a lot of processed meats, all the research I've done on the weekend that keeps coming up, processed meats, highly processed meats. I'm talking about your hot dogs. I'm talking about your bacon. I'm talking about your bologna. I'm talking about all the stuff that's a meat product, but it's cut up or over processed to be in slices, things like that. And I've said it before, not all meat products are the same. You got your cheap stuff and you got the stuff that's going to cost you a little bit more. And it's going to be a bit better for your body. And I want to talk about that in the way of just giving you as much information as possible, because health is wealth. Health is wealth. We learned it again over the weekend. It don't matter who you are. It don't matter who you are. Health is wealth. I bet you Chadwick Boseman would have given up all of his wealth and his fame to be healthy. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Have you ever known someone to deal with cancer, a colon cancer or colorectal cancer? From what I've been reading, colorectal cancer is the second deadliest form of cancer. And African Americans have the highest rates of any racial or ethnic group in the United States. And in particular, Black men. That's right. This is something that's affecting us in a very crucial way. In a very crucial way. Have you known someone who's had to deal with colorectal cancer? Are they still alive? I also give you survivor rates for people as well. It's another reason to get health screened, to seeing your doctor, and yet another reason to make sure that you control what you put into your body. I know a lot of people, man, they don't have no control over what they eat, it seems like. It's like whatever they feel is what they eat. Negative. That's not what time it is. You have to eat to live, not live to eat. There's no food in the world I care that much about. Nothing. At this point in my life. There's no food that I'm not a big... People say, what's your favorite food? The most nutritious food? I don't have a favorite food. I know what I need to eat to make this operate correctly. Those are my favorite foods. I love me. I love my family, my children. I love what I do. I don't love food. Food, that's not what food is here for. But again, this with Chadwick Boseman hits me in particular because I almost died this year. You can see me and hear me now. But on February 2nd, I almost died, 2020. I'm lucky to be here. It changed my complete worldview. My relationship with food has completely changed. Completely. My daily routine, the way I look at life has completely changed. Don't go out like your boy, Nate Ivey. You don't have to be laying in a hospital bed to realize that the ish that people are telling you is real, homie. I'm here to tell you is real. 100%. This is real. There is no jokes. You ain't exempt. You ain't got no special powers. When it comes for you, it comes for you, period. And either you're going to do what you need to do to make sure you're healthy and you're strong, or you're not, especially as you get older. You know what I'm saying? Especially as you get older. I'll say it again. I don't have a favorite food. There's no food in the world I give a damn about. None. Zero. I don't care about no food at all. I care about what's nutritious. You know what I'm saying? I've changed my diet to the point where I eat things that are not even all that good per se, but I know they're good for my body. And I'm struggling with different recipes and things like that to get that taste. But I'm telling you, man, the merchants of food, the fast food merchants, they got too many of us. And then there's a lot of disinformation and miseducation about what quality food actually is. There's people going to the grocery store swearing they buying quality food and you buying straight trash and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. We need more education as to what good quality foods actually really are. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of folks out there eating straight trash and you swearing you on top of the game and you are not. You are not. What else here I want to share with you? I said it before. Colorectal cancer is the second. I want to make sure I say this again. Colorectal cancer is the second deadliest form of cancer. And African Americans have the highest rates of any racial group or ethnic group in the United States. Why is that? Now, some of it could be genetic predisposition. Some of it is food desert. Some of it is just a lot of miseducation about what food is. I got Facebook friends. I see them posting stuff that I wouldn't eat unless it is the time of the apocalypse. I'd rather starve. It's better to not eat that trash that I see people posting on a regular basis. You got to change, homie. You cannot be eating in your 40s and 50s the way you ate when you were 16 and 20. You can't do it. Or you can, but it comes with a heavy price. You know what I'm saying? The number one thing that we have to conquer is ourselves, our own desires, our own impulses, the discipline of controlling this. If you can't control this, you ain't going to control the world outside of this. Simple as that. You know, we need a radical education, a radical shift. And by we, I'm talking about African Americans. We need a radical shift in the way that we view foods and identifying what's really what's really good for our bodies. I'm just saying. These folks out there that got the money and they still buying trash every day. Why? Get control of this. Control this, man. You live to eat, not eat to live. As simple as that, family. Good morning to you. 513-873-7123. 873-7134 is the number. Hold on. That just reminds me, I may have to change something real quick if you're trying to call in, because I definitely want to receive your number, your phone calls this morning. Think about what I'm saying. You got to change the way as you get older in life. You got to change your relationship with food. You can't be eating the same crap you ate when you was 25 and you 55. You cannot. It comes with a cost. It comes with a cost. You can. Obviously you can, but you shouldn't. I don't know the details about brother Chadwick Boseman. I don't know if it was a lifestyle thing. Some people have a predisposition to certain kind of cancers. All I know is about a year ago, we saw an image of him. It was right at the beginning of COVID-19, and Chadwick Boseman was a part of a campaign that was going to, do something positive around COVID-19. And he posted this video on his Instagram, and the brother did not look good at all. Remember this? We talked about it on the show. He did not look good at all. And the alarm bells went up right then, but people was like, oh, well, he must be getting ready. He must be getting ready for a new movie or something like that. Now we understand that he was dealing with the consequences and side effects of colon cancer, which is real. How many people have ever had somebody close to them die due to cancer? How many people? Yeah, I just changed it. Thank you, Donnie. I just changed it. How many people have had somebody die close to them because of colon cancer in particular? I had the privilege of interviewing somebody many, many years ago who survived colon cancer and was talking about the virtues of getting a colonoscopy and things like that. I've never gotten a colonoscopy, but I'm definitely going to hook up with the doctors real soon as possible, and go through that procedure. What I have done is radically changed my relationship with food. I'm much more plant-based. I eat a little bit of fish from time to time. Everything else is 100% plant-based. I had enough for the processed food. What's processed food? That's meat that's cut that don't look like meat when it gets to your table. Your sausage, your bacon. And there's all different types of sausage and bacon. Your bologna, your lunch meat, right? I see these little squares and crackers we give to kids. A lot of that's trash meat. Your kids shouldn't be eating that crap, but it's cheap. And people don't know no better. You know what I'm saying? Your fast food. There's folks out there that's addicted to fast food. I'll never eat fast food. The only way that fast food will go into this body is if it's literally the last days, and that's my only option. Other than that, I would literally rather not eat. Literally. I'm telling you, I'm doing it right now. There's no fast food in the world that I want. None. Zero. Now that I know what it is and what it's not, why would I put that trash? It's like poison. Why would I put that poison in my body? Period. And I have my favorites, but listen, you grow and you grow. You can't eat the same ish that you ate. Not even a meal. I'm at the point in my life where, and I know there's people out there who are plant-based and can back me up on this. It's just inconceivable at this point. Now that I know better, the way I would feel would just feel like I would be setting my body back. And I've worked too hard to get to this point, right? I just can't do it. But you do you. Everything in moderation. If you're going to do it and you're addicted to it, I would just say do it in moderation. Let me give you some more details about it, because I think it's very, very important this morning as it relates to colon cancer. I mean, it's a very serious conversation I want to have with you because it's taking our community out in particular. And CNN posted an article just a day ago, and they say that colon and rectal cancer cases are going up among people now younger than 50. And a lot of it is lifestyle. A lot of this is lifestyle. It's preventable. It's literally what you choose to put into your body, literally. And the mass miseducation about what good food really is. You know, people love chicken. Not all chicken's the same. You know, we don't live in the same days as we did 100 years ago, where if you were going to eat chicken 100 years ago, you probably had a farm. You were probably closer to the earth and were raising the chickens yourself. Man, they making these mass producing these clone chickens blind in some warehouse, thousands of chickens all standing one next to another, eating feces, eating a bunch of crap. You know what I'm saying? That is nowhere near the same. It's nowhere near the same. You know what I'm saying? I'm just here to tell you there's a lot of different ways to get the chicken. If you're a chicken person, all chicken ain't the same. You go in the store thinking, oh, this is on sale. Got these huge chicken breasts like this. Where the hell they make these chickens from? These Conan the Barbarian chickens all buffed up. Man, you know what? They're hitting them with all kind of additives, steroids, chemicals to make the chicken bigger than what it naturally is supposed to be, GMO, just really unnatural situations. Chicken all stressed out, and then you put it on your plate and they want you to eat it. You don't want to eat that crap. You should not be eating that crap, should I say. We got an early call here. Let me go straight to it. 513-873-7134 if you want to share your thoughts this morning. Hold on, let me, wait, is she still on the line here?
Yes, good morning, Nate.
Hey, there you go. Hey, Donnie, good morning.
Hey, I wasn't trying to be on the show. You have a guest speaker named Ann Glassman that's been trying to reach you since 8:30.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much. Yes, I just changed it over.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's Donnie B right there. Yeah, and yes, call me in, please. Ann is running for judge, and we want to talk to her. So like I said, there's a lot of things going on today. We're going to talk with Ann Flotman this morning. She is running for judge, and she's going to call into the show here. So again, a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to abandon the conversation about colon cancer. I want to spend some time talking about it with you this morning, but I want to catch up with Ann and many others as well. Again, it's political season, and I want to do what I can to inform you about the candidates as much as I can, and then you make your own decision about who you think is the best. As I await that, let me take a quick break, okay? And then we'll come back and we'll continue our conversation this morning. During the second hour, I want to talk about Shaun King and the fake outrage surrounding this brother. It just seems like people ain't got nothing better to do. That's right, I'm saying it. Yeah. I read the email and I'm saying, so what? And I don't get it. I don't understand the outrage. Maybe you can help me. You might be able to sway me this morning. All right, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe Twitter is doing what Twitter does, and that is getting caught up with fake outrage. Or maybe not. We'll discuss on the other side. 513-873-7134 is my number. Don't go anywhere.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
This is Zoe Wesson. What side of history do you want to be on? The right side, or one where Black people continue to be underrepresented in Hamilton County? Now's your chance to end 230 years of exclusion. In Charlie Winburn, we have a man that's received the Cincinnati NAACP President's Award, who fought on the Ohio Civil Rights Commission for 6 years, who received the Baptist Ministers Conference Community Service Award. Charlie Winburn has received the Southern Christian Leadership Conference Award and was honored by WDBZ The Buzz as Pastor of the Month. We know Charlie Winburn, and he knows us. He's the right man to put us on the right side of history. On Tuesday, November 3rd, vote Charlie Winburn for Hamilton County Treasurer.
I am Charlie Winburn, and I'm asking you for your vote on Tuesday, November the 3rd, paid for by friends of Charlie Winburn.
Are you interested in medical coding? but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified, marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5steps. Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified, marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder.
At the Bloomberg Black Business Report, I'm Donna Wilson. Virgil Abloh is one of the foremost figures in design. He's the artistic director of Louis Vuitton's menswear collection, and he started a scholarship fund to help young designers.
You know, me being one of the few Black designers at the head of a Parisian fashion house gives me a unique opportunity to sort of lead. I've started my postmodern scholarship fund, which works at the education level to make sure that there's inroads kept for young Black designers to work in the fashion space.
And his scholarship fund is a form of advocacy.
Is fundraising, putting dollars where it matters to sort of make sure students are entering the road to having a career in design, fashion, creativity.
And he's been able to put the spotlight on Black talent.
My show in Shanghai was largely created by an all-Black creative team just to showcase the state of the art and how diversity and inclusivity can lead to great results.
Virgil Abloh. And that's your Bloomberg Black Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
And we are back. Again, family, a good way of supporting me and supporting this show and the cause for independent Black media in the city of Cincinnati is by supporting our sponsors. There's a link in the description for today's sponsor. You can also go to www.ohioprn.com. If you want to know more about medical coding, you can sign up for their free 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder email course. You can also visit bit.ly/5stepscoder. And again, 3Ws.ohioprn.com. Good morning to you. Good morning. And welcome back into the show. 513-873-7134. We've been talking about the passing of Chadwick Boseman. He was in his early 40s. Telling you better stop and smell the roses. Stop and smell the roses. Enjoy your life. Live your life. My daughter hates it for obvious reasons when I talk about this, but I tell her all the time, everything that lives dies. That's just a cycle of life. It is what it is. My grandparents, as they got older, trying to tell me, I didn't want to hear that. It's the last thing you want to hear from people you love, but it prepared me for their passing. Now, whether it be through natural causes or cancer or an accident, I'm telling you, man, spend every moment, live your best life. Don't wait till tomorrow. Do it today and be you. The most recent data available is from 2017. And in 2017, over 52,000 people died of colorectal cancer nationwide. That's from the CDC. And over the last few years, more and more younger people have been diagnosed. And more younger people, that's younger than 50, are being diagnosed with it. I think it's lifestyle. It's the food that you're eating. It's the fast food culture. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want it fast. You love your favorite fast food, and your favorite fast food is slowly poisoning your body. I'm telling you, there's a relationship, the doctors say, between highly processed meats and colorectal cancer and colon cancer. That means it's preventable. That means that on some levels it's preventable. From 2012 to 2016, incidences among younger people younger than 50, rose by about 2.2% in both colon cancer and rectum cancer. Why? Why? I think it's just a lack of knowledge. At the same time, among adults aged 50 to 64, researchers found that colorectal cancer, their incidence of it slightly declined. I think it's just information. I think that age group is just a bit more aware of it. Just saying. Live your life, homie. Live your best life. The report also found striking disparities by race. Striking disparities by race. And in particular, the African-American rate is at an alarming number. I think it just comes down to the availability. That's why when we talk about food deserts, that's not just about, a surface conversation. That's a very serious conversation. There's a direct relationship, in my opinion, between food deserts, right? The ability for people to be in close proximity to a grocery store. And again, not all grocery stores are the same. They got some grocery stores that's full of trash. You know what I'm saying? And you got other grocery stores that's full of all the great stuff, all the organic stuff. You got multiple options. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. But there's a connection between being able to be in close proximity to a grocery store that has healthy food items and options and the health of those people who live in those neighborhoods. Again, a shout out to Brother Boseman, man. Who knew? I mean, I was shocked. When I read about it, I believe it was Friday night. It was Friday night. I was up late. I was here in my studio just doing some stuff on the computer. And I was actually in a group chat with some folks. And one of the persons in the group chat was like, oh, my God. It was a group video chat. And the person was distracting me. I could see him on the screen. It was like, oh, my God. I'm like, what? And the person said, oh, I can't. The exact quote was, why do the good ones always have to go die young? And I'm like, what you talking about? And the person told me who it was. I'm like, what? So I went to another box and started looking it up. And then my daughter, who happened to still be up, why was she up at like 11:15 p.m. on a Friday? I guess she was enjoying her last days before school starts, which I want to talk about as well today. CPS is underway. Digital learning is underway. Are you ready? What have been your observations? I'll share with you mine. And she came down. She was like, Daddy, have you heard? I was like, yes, baby. And she's like, I think I'm going to cry. I was like, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. So I was up and I'm like, man, it just kind of hit me like Kobe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Tomorrow is not promised. Literally, we got to live our lives today like tomorrow you could not be here. We take too many things for granted as human beings. We think we all got under control and we know how to control this. We don't have nothing under control at all. Zero. And there's some people out there that can't even control what they put into their mouth. You know what I'm saying? The fast food giants got you. But I'm here to tell you, you can break that, homie. You can break that. They got you under the yoke. You got to have that sandwich. You got to stop over, fill in the blank wherever it is. You got to have it once a week. That's what you work for. Right? Literally. You working to eat. And I would just say that, okay, great to have, I'm glad. Okay, great, Gene, great. I'm glad she says she has sound now. Great. Glad to hear it. Saying 100% you have control. You got to take it. You got to take the control if you have it. Take it. 513-873-7134. Brenda's on Facebook. She writes, good morning. Eb G writes, great people. Great morning, good people. Make it a wonderful day. Hey, Nathan. Hey, Eb G. Good to see you. Kara Mitchell writes, good morning. C. Smith writes, good morning. Heavy heart with losing Chad Boseman. 2020 is not done yet. Wakanda forever. It's not. But it's all about the mentality you bring to it, C. Smith. I keep telling people, my mentality is I'm going to emerge stronger out of 2020. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing it right now. Look at me. I'm doing it right now. I'm going to emerge stronger. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to merge minus, I think I'm past 20 at this point, but I'm going to merge minus, I'm going to do the minus COVID-19, not the plus COVID-19. You got all the power. You got all the power. You got all the control over what you do every single day. Use it. Use it. You know, we can look at 2020 and be like, oh, everything went wrong. Or we can look at 2020 and say, you know what, it's an opportunity to do some things right. It's all about the mentality that you bring to the situation. You know what I'm saying? People keep saying 2020 is so bad. I mean, 2020 is like every other year. To me, quite honestly, I don't really see a difference. Yeah, COVID-19 is here, but so what? So what? COVID-19 ain't changing nothing for me. COVID-19 is a stress test. I'll say it again. It's a stress test for you, your body, and your business. Are you going to survive? Are you going to adapt? Or are you not going to adapt? Simple as that. There's nothing more to it. 2020 is like every other year. Celebrities die every year. People die every year. People get sick every year. COVID-19 has changed the way that we work a little bit here or there, but only a little. Only a little. Call me back. I'll put you straight on. Try to put you on. Why she say Ann Glossman? That's hilarious. Ann Flotman. I think the F is next to the G, so maybe she meant Flotman. But I appreciate it nonetheless. My sis right there, Donnie B. But yeah, I mean, 2020, I feel you, 2020, on everybody saying C. Smith, I feel you, but it's all about that mentality. 2020 is the same as 2019. There's no difference. There's no difference. Yeah, we're dealing with COVID-19 and people wearing masks, but I'm slightly OCD anyway. So I wasn't touching doorknobs and all this kind of stuff anyway. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't touching gas pump handles anyway. So it's not a big deal. The way that you emerge from 2020 is going to be completely 100% in your control. What are you going to do with that time? I'm not talking to C. Smith. I know she's A1. I'm just saying in general. I'm just using her flow to just make a larger point. But enough of me. Let's go straight to the phones here. I got many guests coming in today. Let's go straight to the phones and say good morning and welcome to the show.
What's up, Nate?
Hey, what up?
This the minister.
Hey, what's up, minister? How are you?
Not much. Good. I'm in Texas right now.
Are you?
Yeah, delivering loads and stuff. But anyway, back to what you were saying about your flow is that, like you saying, man, like everybody's dying young. First, it was Nipsey. Next, Kobe. Now, Black Panther. Who else? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's getting ridiculous. And if you see all the three I named, they all was young. All of them was young. And when you said about the food thing, man, I'm trying to do the same thing. Because as a truck driver, they got all junk. There's no capability. You know what I mean? If I have a salad, okay. But I worry about my health too. You know what I mean? That's what I love when you said that the colon cancer is real. What you put in your body. What you put in your body. And I seen my dad comes on the show and my stepmom, Danita, they call comes on the show, and they going a lot like plant-based. And I'm not used to that. You know what I mean? I'm not used to it. Not used to it at all. And the big thing is, man, is that it's the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The mindset, how you can control your mind of eating good. You know what I mean? Eating good.
Mm-hmm.
Not eating out every single day. And certain stuff like that, man. I like to touch base on with that. But I didn't believe it either when Black Panther, and the Black Panther died. My mama told me that. I'm like, no, she's lying. I looked on there. Oh heck no.
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the world? And as a black community, now this is where I get to this. As a black community, and even as the age is my age, you know, I'm 28. So in my era, not your era, in my era, we need to start seeing that like, dang, anybody can die at any time.
Yeah.
We don't wait until we 60 or 70 years old of we're gonna die at 60 or 70. Nah, it can happen anytime. And as I look at it now, as in, you know, any time of the day, I'm saying that we can die any time of, you know, food, viruses, and the police. Mainly the police too, because the law changing. Laws change a lot. So, I mean, I think that we need to control our minds, and the thing is too is that we need to find out like not where we come from, but where we grew up in. You know what I mean? The environment we grew up in. If you grew up in an environment of fast food, you know, fast food and everything, then that person only gonna know it's fast food. You know what I mean? Because they don't like to eat healthy like that. You get what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying, brother. 100%.
So, man, that's my thoughts, man. I just wanted to share my thoughts on that, and about to get back to work. I see you, Nate.
All right, take it easy. Yeah, that brother is doing his thing. Appreciate it. He said he's down in Texas, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate the call. Have you seen that video? Chadwick Boseman was many years ago. He was, I think it was, about a year and a half ago. He was on the red carpet, and he was being asked a question about a movie he was portraying. And he said, I'm dead. I'm dead. That's what he kept saying. He said, I'm dead. Doesn't matter. They asked him a question about being a star or something like that. He's like, I'm dead. You remember that? I got the audio for you. It was a premonition. It was a premonition. I guess, you know, he knew what time it was. He could see the writing on the wall. And a lot of people have been replaying his speech from his alma mater, right? It was very, very powerful. I watched some of it over the weekend as well. It was very, very powerful. I didn't tear up or anything like that. Not to say I'm above telling you if I do that or not. It don't affect my manhood one bit or the flow. But I thought it was very, 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 very interesting, like, to know that this man was dealing with his own death, you know, and asking myself, how would I look at life? You know, because what happened to me in February was sudden. You know, I hadn't been feeling well for months and months and months and couldn't figure it out. And the doctors couldn't figure it out, right? Thought I was doing the right thing. And what happened to me was quickly, right? And then because of the wonders of modern medicine, you know, I was able to go through a procedure and then change my lifestyle and get back on the right track, right? But how do you deal with knowing that you've got something or a disease or a condition that's going to lead to your death and you can't do nothing about it? What is that like? That's a question that we'll probably all have to deal with at some point. Like, every person that can see me right now is going to die. I'm going to die. And I can say that to you straight up. I'm not squeamish about it. I mean, like I said, I just look at the world completely differently in a lot of ways. A lot of ways. It's amazing how a near-death experience will radically change you. It's true. It is true, 100%, especially if you have a family and you have people that you're concerned about leaving behind. That weighs heavily on you as a husband and as a father. Very, very much so. Very, very much so. As I understand it, Chadwick Boseman was a husband. You didn't really see a whole lot of images of his wife, though. I didn't see a whole lot of images of his wife. But, you know, she's dealing with the loss of her husband, her king. You know what I'm saying? To us, he was an actor. To him, or to her, that was her husband. That was her life partner. That now she has to deal with losing. And, you know, as a wife, I mean, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? You know, it's very, very, that's some real life stuff right there. Oh, here's an image of them at a game right there. That's his wife, Chadwick Boseman, perhaps in happier times. And even in his face right now, right there, looking at him, seems like he was a little bit underweight, a little bit. And his wife there, his queen. Very, very sad. You know, a lot of people are showing their respects to Chadwick Boseman. Even Shaun King. Shaun King there's been a lot of critiques about Shaun King. Now, if you don't know him, Shaun King is an activist. He does a lot of activism around the Black community. He does a lot of activism. He's a writer. He's a speaker, public speaker. But he's a lot of activism around getting policy and or dealing with police brutality and things like that. He's been a target of the police, at least he says. It appears that it's true. And over the weekend, he caught some more heat. He caught more heat because of something that he put in an email. Okay. And now he's being accused of profiting off of Chadwick Boseman's death. Shaun King is under fire for promoting his book while mourning the death of Chadwick Boseman. And apparently it was leaked by somebody on Twitter. Somebody on Twitter posted screenshots of an email from Shaun King asking followers to buy his book, Make Change, in light of the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Let me read an excerpt for you. Quote, I hope you were hanging in there. Yesterday, I sent an email checking in. Hold on. I hope. Let me say here. I hope you are hanging in there. Yesterday, I sent an email checking in on everybody. And just a few hours later, we learned of the death of Chadwick Boseman. Life is so fragile. Tomorrow is not promised. This is what Shaun King wrote in the email before transitioning to the topic of the history of the Black Lives Movement and his book. So that's verbatim what was in the email. And then people went on Twitter and went super hard at him. Like, here we go, profiting. I'm so sick of him profiting off of black misery and pain. And I'm sick of it too. I'm sick of it when I see it in the media. A lot of that happens. But is it fair to criticize Shaun King in this instance? I mean, at the end of the day, however you feel is how you feel. If that's how you feel, I mean, I can't change your mind. I'm not even trying to change your mind. In my opinion, I think it's people overreacting. I think people overreact. I think there's some people on Twitter and social media that got a problem with Shaun King no matter what he does. I ain't saying the brother is perfect because nobody's perfect. And they're looking for any example to try to bring him down. But I also think there's probably some operatives out there. See, COINTELPRO is real, family. It never ended. COINTELPRO is going on right now. It never ended. Right? The history books, the way they talk about it on, some of these television shows, they try to make it seem like it ended back in the 70s. It never ended. The government's program to infiltrate, to divide and conquer, right? Using agents of divide and conquer, right? Are still there. They're still there in the digital age. And I wonder if on some levels, people like Shaun King aren't a target of that. Because I'm less concerned about, Shaun King and what he might have mentioned. I mean, maybe, I feel like it's like you damned if you do, damned if you don't. Shaun King, as I understand it, this book tour was already in the works before Brother Boseman died. Had he put out the email blast and not mentioned Chadwick Boseman, people would have said, look at you. You only care about selling your books. And when he puts out the email blast, which in my opinion, and he said this on Twitter, that it was already written and he just went back and just updated it and felt like he wanted to add something about Chadwick Boseman. When he does that, people say you trying to profit off of his death. I read the email over and over again. I searched for many different, versions of it. They all seem to be pretty consistent online last night. In my opinion, I thought that people was overreacting to it. I didn't really see what other people on social media, even some of my friends on Facebook was posting this. I didn't really see that. I didn't really see it. Now, in my opinion, like I said, he had already been working on his book, as I understand it. He had already sort of started this email campaign, as a lot of people do when they're selling books and other things. And he decided to just add that part of it because it was something that was relevant. Shaun King's core focus, and I would imagine audience is probably black folks. And black folks over most folks are the people that's feeling the pain of the passing of the actor who portrayed Black Panther. So he thought, okay, well, maybe I'll just put this in here because it's relevant and acknowledge it and then get on to what I'm here for. I'm here to sell you this book. It is what it is. Again, I didn't see no big issue with it. Did you? 513-873-7134. I mean, everybody got different opinions, but in my opinion, it's like some of these people on Twitter need to go get busy. Go do something rather than sitting around criticizing Shaun King. Because I see Shaun King doing stuff. I'm just saying. I'm still interested in the book. I mean, is there things in his book that could be jewels for the community? That's what I'm interested in. Not these sophomore critiques because people really don't like him because they don't know if he's white or he's black. I'm telling you, man, the plots to confuse black people have worked. And it's evidenced by this nonsense with Shaun King. I'm going to say it again. The plots to confuse black people have 100% worked. And we can see it over and over again. Because these people on Twitter run around arguing about the wrong damn things. I care less about whether, I don't think he's profiting off of the death of, if Shaun King is profiting off the death of Chadwick Boseman, then so was ABC last night because they played the Black Panther movie last night. And sure, they played it commercial free, but there were commercials before and after the movie. There was commercials before and after the movie. So if Shaun King, that's something I look at. If Shaun King is somehow profiting off of the death of Chadwick Boseman, then anybody who posts anything about Chadwick Boseman is profiting off of his death, period. If you posted something on your social media to your friends, you profiting off the death of Chadwick Boseman. I find that to be ridiculous. But that's just my opinion. What is yours? 513-873-7134. I'm telling you, the plots to confuse, to divide black people have worked. And we see it in all the time. Here's yet another example of it. So what? He mentioned Chadwick Boseman in his email. And what's your point? I love to hear it. Let's go straight to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Brother Nathan. It's Lawrence. How you doing?
Hey, Brother Lawrence. Good morning to the show. Welcome. Good morning. What's up?
Yes, sir. Hey, I want to just throw my 2 cents in on the whole Shaun King thing.
Okay, go right ahead.
Cause I saw thank you. I saw the email also, and it makes me wonder about a couple of other different things, like why are black people following Shaun King in any type of way? and when it comes to profiting, I mean, that's always the option. Nobody can stop that, but we don't have to participate in it. If you're not participating in it, you wouldn't even be offended or mad about it. But you got people, they invest themselves in this man, and as almost he's like some kind of like second coming. It's like we got to, that's their all lives matter. You know what I'm saying? Or that's their, we need an ally. And I'm like, well, it just hasn't worked. Shaun King should go away, and black people should let him go away. I mean, these are issues that we got to fight ourselves, because to the point you were making earlier, it's confusing, right? So people are confused. They like, I thought you was helping me out, and he like, I am helping you out. You know what I'm saying? It's a big ball of confusion when it's like you should be helping yourself out. And then I have to say this. We always talk about people who do stuff in the background. Well, Shaun King, why can't you go in the background and work? Why you got to be front and center on a issue that involves people, involves you, because these are your people who are harming my people. It is confusing. You're not going to have a straight heterosexual man leading the LGBTQ community. It wouldn't make sense. He's not. You can't. You would have a straight man leading that. The gay people would be like, well, hold on, man. I know you sympathize with, but it just don't make no sense. And that's just one of the first, comparisons that that kind of popped in my head that I think would really stand out to people. It wouldn't. You can sympathize and you can support, but it don't make sense for you to be part of this leadership. Go be in the background. Shaun King wants to be out front, and he is profiteering off of it. But he can only profit if people are giving him money for it. So we got to be accountable in that also. But that's just my 2 cents on that, Nathan.
And brother, I appreciate the time, brother. Listen, for me, I'm less concerned about what Shaun King's doing, and I'm more concerned about what we as individuals is doing. You know what I'm saying? You a living example of that. It's less about what somebody else is doing. It's about what you doing. I don't look at Shaun King as a leader. He's just one more voice out there. And I think that sometimes he's in the right direction, right? White, black, or whatever. But I don't look at him as no leader. I'm not one of his followers. If he starts a pack or writes a book or takes a stance or reveals some knowledge that's in the right direction I agree with, cool. And that's it. I think people blow Shaun King up to be more than what he really is. He's just one more person out there. But the real question is, what are you going to do as individuals? While all these folks out here criticizing Shaun King, I hear it. But what are they doing? You know what I'm saying? That's what it really is all about. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see it.
I agree. No, I agree. That is a question. I ask people that question oftentimes in conversation. That's a absolutely. That's like the number one question of the moment.
That's the number one question. It ain't about what you doing, Brother Lawrence. It ain't about what Nathan Ivey's doing. It's about what you, the individual, are going to do. That's what time it is. Because until individuals get involved, it don't really mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I hear all these people talking about Shaun King. And again, I think you made some very valid points that I've heard other people make. I can't disagree with it. I might look at it slightly different. But even with the NBA players, people criticizing their protest. What are you going to do then? Wherever you live, in Cincinnati or Chillicothe or Dayton, what are you going to do? That's the real question, not what LeBron James or the Milwaukee Bucks are going to do. What are you going to do? I think it's easier to project and point fingers than to look at ourselves sometime.
Oh, most definitely. Because when you ask people what they're going to do, they already know what they have to do. And that's what a lot of people run from. The first question is, what are you going to do? Then the second question is, you already know in your soul what you got to do. And a lot of people they can't break into doing, what it takes to make them feel whole or be American or bring them to, the peace and life that they want. So
it's that sacrifice.
But, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks for making the call.
Nathan.
Appreciate it, Brother Lawrence, right there doing big things. Saying, it's so easy to ask other people about what they doing, but when the sacrifice comes home, that's when it gets real. So I hear people saying stuff about Shaun King. I just thought it was an overreaction. I'm like, okay, he mentioned Chadwick Boseman. Okay. Is he profiting? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know. I think the real question is, are we profiting off of what he's doing? Speaking of Shaun King. But the thing, maybe he's done some things that's opened the door for these critiques. When you do those kind of things, that's what happens. When you do some things that are suspect or make people look at you real differently, it opens the door for it all the way, no matter what you do after that point. It is what it is. We all got to suffer the consequences of our reputations. That's part of being grown. But, you know, Black Twitter or Twitter in general was going super hard. I'm sick and tired of this. Well, if you're sick and tired of, what you going to do about it? Other than point fingers at Shaun King. When you sick and tired of his prophet, then what are you going to start your... I've seen Shaun King start some of these political action committees working to get more progressive or prosecutors around the country that, you know, give a damn about, you know, equity for black folks. I mean, you know, say what you want about writing a book. I guess there is some profit in it, but I think that these authors, listen, anytime you put an investment in your time, you want to get a return off of it. But I think that, you know, people write these books and it could be some jewels inside the book. I haven't read his book, so I can't tell you whether the book is worth it or not. His new book, what is it called? Game Changer? What is it called again? Hold on, let me get the title here. Make Change. I like the title of that, Make Change. I haven't read the book, so I can't criticize it yet. He could be dropping knowledge inside the book. I don't know. Have you read it? Probably not, because it ain't been released yet. So, I mean, I'm just a big believer in at least reading it, or at least understanding what people have to offer before I criticize them. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. What do you think? 513-873-7134. Like I said, a lot of conversation this morning is going to be interspersed with some interviews from some local political candidates. Let's go back to the phones and see who's on the line. Hey, good morning and welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Nate. This is Brian.
Hey, what's up, Brian? Good morning.
Not so much. I just wanted to report in on a recent trip me and several people took to this 57th commemoration action in D.C.
Oh, yeah, for sure, brother. You know, I wanted to hear that. I know you reached out to me on social media. For sure, man. What did you see? Tell us all about your observations and your experience.
The overall evaluation would be, you know, it's good that people continue to be motivated to, you know, use one of our biggest strengths, which is our numbers and our bodies, to make a statement against police brutality. And you know, you could see the numbers. It was a massive event. And I think when you have big events like that where people come together, at least ostensibly under one cause, they can begin to be galvanized, gain more confidence, and kind of understand just how many we are, who we are, and possibly what we can do. Our power, in other words. So that was the most positive outcome of the action as a whole. But that day was a tale of two actions, because, you know, Al Sharpton of the National Action Network called this action in the name of George Floyd, called it at the funeral, and said that it was going to be largely about the question of police brutality. That was when he first launched it. I believe he was using the name of this family, like so many do, to try to renew his own personal juice. And there's many families that could tell stories about them getting burned, you know, when they're not high profile cases and it doesn't suit the political needs of, you know, of that organization. But, more than 60 families, almost 80 families by the time it was done, of who's had their loved ones killed by police around the country, sent a letter to the National Action Network, signed, asking them to include a simple demand as part of the program, which is reopen the cases. Knowing all of the institutional racism that exists in courtrooms across the country, the report of the Department of Justice, which revealed some of the racist character of police stations, courts, etc. After all that, it seems like it is a central demand that most families have, that if they were unjustly, you know, had an unjust trial, or the cop never made it to trial because the grand jury threw out these cases of police brutality over these years, that they should be reopened. They wouldn't add that. They wouldn't add prosecute the police. So these families, as a result of that, decided to hold an action that started at the Lincoln Memorial in respect for the Floyd family, and all the families stayed there, listened to them, and gave them respect, and then took a separate march to the Department of Justice to deliver almost 100,000 signatures demanding that cases be reopened. Now, the reason I say a tale of two actions is not just because there literally were two separate actions. As fiery as some of these speakers sounded, if you got to watch any of it, or if people watch any of it, and I was there and saw the reactions because people were fired up and sounded really militant or whatever with the tone of their voice and whatever. But the not one speaker that was not connected to a family, and even most of the families, I believe, because they were under strict guidelines of what they could and could not say, none of them called for convictions of the police who killed these people who they, supposedly are standing on stage next to. None of them called for reopening of their cases when it's closed, when they've been closed. And this is we're at a crossroads of sorts. And I'll just say one more thing about this. Every speaker from that podium said Black Lives Matter. That was part of their speech, meaning not talking about the families. A lot of them didn't necessarily say that, but I mean the politicians and other officials, which on one hand you can say it's the actions that have happened over the last 6 months or 5 months that have really pressured these politicians to feel like they have to say something about the conditions that we're facing that are now more exposed. But it's easy. Black Lives Matter is like a shield to do nothing. You say it and you feel protected. If you go downtown, all of these restaurants all of a sudden have signs up that say Black Lives Matter. Are some of them against institutional racism and against police brutality? I'm sure. But clearly these little posters of printed out Black Lives Matter or whatever is meant to mean don't crash my building. Just like when these politicians use it and do nothing on the actual issue of police brutality, which is at the heart of what this movement was built on, then it becomes empty gesture. And that is what they all did over and over again. So I believe that any movement that is going to advance, police brutality is the modern center of the modern civil rights movement. And every time people diverge away from that question or try to do too many add-ons and tack-ons, it weakens the struggle as a whole. And it's a big problem. And that includes something that I, in theory, support, but this whole question of like defunding. Like, it's fine to call for defunding, but it's ending up replacing the central demand of jail these cops. And the problem comes when you counterpose the question of policy to this, where like you let these, you basically surrender the family whose loved one was killed, use their name for this bill, and then do nothing to fight for their actual case. That's what we're seeing happening. So all that aside, I just wanted to throw that out there. It was a great trip. The families whose loved ones were killed, I think came out feeling stronger and will continue. And the families that were on stage that Sharpton brought, that he made all kinds of promises to and then didn't deliver at the action itself, they learned lessons about who this dude is as we try to find and as we encourage them to build their own leadership. Don't depend on him. Don't put your faith in him. Put your faith in yourself and the people around you who want to fight. So the final thing I'll say, kind of in line with that, is this Friday at District 1, there will be an action in the evening. I believe it's starting at 6, to demand, that the cops who assaulted Jacob Blake be put in jail, but also it is the anniversary of the death of Melvin Murray, who was killed here in Cincinnati by police, and that case is an example that never made it to trial. So we're calling for reopening that case and the other cases, including Paul Gaston, Jawari Porter, and the other brothers in Cincinnati who fell because police use excessive force on black people like it's open season. So that's all I got, Nate. I appreciate you taking the call.
That's all I need. Thanks for the call and sharing your experiences.
Hey, no doubt, man.
Yep.
Always.
So that's Brian. He's like, look, that's an interesting point. I can't say I disagree with him at all. That's a very interesting point. He's like, look, people getting behind Black Lives Matter, but not fighting for justice in those individual cases. Not calling for police to be actually jailed. I wonder, how did defund the police even start? How did that conversation start? Who started that? Because it seems like, while I understand the spirit of it, it seems like it's been used against the movement to bring police officers to justice. And it makes me wonder, was that a COINTELPRO operation? I'm telling you again, COINTELPRO is alive and well. It is not over with. Some of these folks that are commenting, and some of these folks on social media, you don't know who they are. You don't know who it are. Just look at everything that's happened with the whole defund the police. In every city, politicians and those that are pro-police, even when police officers are dead wrong, they've been using that whole defund the police to run on. I mean, here in Cincinnati, you got people who are running against defund the police. You got people that are running for political office against the idea of the defund the police movement, which is really not even about defunding the police, right? Was that a mistake in naming it? Or was that the intent because they understood that people could use it? You tell me. 513-873-7134. Let's go back to the phones and say good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. This is your West Side Connection, Drop Squad 52, calling in from the left coast, also known as the People's Republic of California. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing excellent, man. How about yourself, brother?
Oh, I'm doing good. Slept in this morning, got up around 6, and when I turned the show on, I heard you talking about Shaun King and a little controversy he got into this past week.
The fake outrage. Mm-hmm.
Well, you could call it fake, but it is outrage, Mr. Ivey. And the only reason that the young man has any type of fame or notoriety is because he perpetrated a fraud on the Oprah Winfrey Show when he posed as a black man to receive a scholarship to an HBCU. So this goes back to 2015, and a lot of young people just really don't know the Shaun King story, or they really don't care because, like you said, he is an activist. But the problem that people have with Shaun King, and mostly black people, is he will not admit that he lied and that both of his parents are black. Psych. Both of his parents are white, Mr. Ivey. All the evidence is there. It goes back to 2015, and it is what it is. But if you want to call it fake outrage, how dare you, Mr. Ivey?
Hey, brother, Drop. Hey, brother, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have a guest, a local elected.
Oh, no problem.
Can you call me right back?
Oh, hey, do your thing, Mr. Ivey.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate your time. Yeah, appreciate that.
All right.
But I want to make sure that I've got these folks calling in who are running for elected office, and I don't want to miss them or to waste their time. So let's go straight to the phones. Hey, good morning and welcome to the show.
Hi, it's Chris Wagner. How you doing, Nate?
Hey, Chris, how you doing? Finally, we connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Been looking forward to it.
Hey, Chris, thanks for your time and patience, man. I know we tried to get together last week a couple of times. It just didn't work out. And I appreciate you calling in this morning to spend some time with us here on the Nathan Ivey Show.
Oh, no, my pleasure. My pleasure.
So for folks who don't know you, Chris, tell us a little about yourself and tell us about the political office that you're running for.
Okay. Well, I'm running for Court of Common Pleas in Hamilton County, the General Division Court. So that's going to be what you would traditionally think of as a trial judge with felony jurisdiction and higher end civil jurisdiction, but it's a trial level court. And it is an open seat, so there is actually no incumbent running for the seat. The judge who currently holds the seat has to step down due to by statute. And so, after 20 years of practicing law in the state, was working for the government and being active in our community and all across the state of Ohio, I thought this would be the opportunity to run for judge.
You said active in the community, huh? So tell us about some of your activism. What have you been doing?
So I went to Xavier University and went to University of Cincinnati Law School and graduated in 2000. I clerked for Judge Ambry Tracy, a Hamilton County judge back then, and I really got the bug to become a trial lawyer. Sort of changed my whole profession. And Democrats don't get interviewed for the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office when I applied for there, but I really wanted to pursue criminal law, and so I applied all across Ohio and got a position in Cuyahoga County, the busiest courthouse in the state. And I worked there for 6 years, worked up from a juvenile prosecutor to what's called a major trial prosecutor, where I was the lead chair in murder rape cases and actually was cross-designated as a special assistant U.S. attorney. When I was up there, I was active in Democratic politics up in Cleveland, and was also a community prosecutor, which means I went to a lot of ward clubs and different meeting groups for different nonprofits throughout the east side of Cleveland, which is a great opportunity to get a perspective on what you're doing. Based on that, I took a job with the Ohio Attorney General's office, moved back to Cincinnati, ran their office down here in Cincinnati, and was active with during 2009, 2010 with the foreclosure crisis, working with a lot of the local nonprofits and small governments dealing with that. And was also with a special prosecutor going around to the smaller rural counties and helping them out with major crimes that they were dealing with. And then about 3 years ago, AFTAB Purval won the clerk of court's office and asked me to come in and help out. And so I took that opportunity. It's been great. Got a chance to really see how our courthouse operates, what it does well, and where it needs to be improved. It's a great opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah, most definitely. Speaking with Chris Wagner. Chris, tell us more about you said it's the judgeship that you're running for, and tell us about some of the responsibilities and why it's so important.
Well, I think it's important because, first off, Ohio, we elect our judges. Some people criticize that method, but I think it is important because it keeps judges more grounded and more responsive to, local concerns when you do go out and you campaign and you hear things. But a judge is not just any regular politician. I mean, you're taking an oath to impartially hold out the law to all parties. So you're restricted on what you can say, and you're restricted in what you can do. But that's to the benefit of the office, because every judge needs to take those responsibilities seriously to protect the actual integrity of the bench. You see what's happening with partisanship, harming, I would say, degrading the other two branches of government. That's why it's that much more important to work hard to get the respect and keep the respect in the judiciary. And right now, there's a lot of discussion about criminal justice reform, what is or isn't with policing. And I think that having the insight and experience throughout the state of Ohio that I do, I can bring that in. And having been trying many, many cases, I think that that's probably the best thing to do. We'll go ahead and give some sunlight to people's controversies, people's claims, and actually let one of the greatest protectors of civil rights in our system, which is a jury trial, and let the jury trial, the jurors, take their responsibility too. So a great opportunity, and I think that we can do a lot here in Hamilton County.
Speaking with Chris Wagner. So Chris, you spent a lot of time as a prosecutor, which I think is a very timely conversation we can have this morning. The core of my audience is African American, Black folks, in the greater Cincinnati area, Hamilton County, Ohio. And at this particular time, there's a lot of conversation right now about how the system has been unfair and continues to be unfair against non-white folks, Black folks in particular. So as a prosecutor, I want to get your insight. I mean, what is your opinion about the system? And in what ways do you think that the system is unfair and needs to change as it relates to African Americans?
Well, I would say that all systems need to be continually examined for improvement. You know, the law changes, people's opinions of the law change, and they evolve. I mean, I was out in the community 15 years ago in heavily African American neighborhoods of Cleveland, engaging with the church leaders out there, engaging with elected politicians out there to try to go ahead and address the concerns that they had with regards to crime, or actually it was the chronic nuisance complaints and complaints about drug dealing. I think when you talk about the re-examination of what goes on, is you have to understand, what was unintended consequences of the positions taken? You know, was it with history and hindsight, did it actually have the desired effect, or did it make matters worse? I do believe that there has been a big sea change on how we view law and order, criminal justice, and what the role is in the judiciary. And I'll just kind of fix it. It was an actual police chief who I was speaking to just not that long ago, who kind of mentioned that, there are bad people who do get arrested, but the most people are lost, most people are sick, and they need help and stability. And I think there has been a change. It's not been enough, and it's only been recently talking about mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, and trying to get people back on their feet again. So just to kind of complete it, I guess, if you view criminal justice as simply an issue about punishment, I think that's misplaced. It's an accounting for what had happened, and it's trying to put both sides on stability and a path forward so they can live with each other and keep going. There has been, I think, way too much continual stigma and punishment that goes on to people who've committed crimes, even minor crimes. And even when people avail themselves of the law, they don't get the benefit. And when I say specifically about that is, when people go ahead and they serve their time or even found not guilty, they're entitled to an expungement, a sealing of the record. Well, we have this thing called the internet, and that really interferes with that. Months ago, I met a guy here in Cincinnati, back when you actually campaign in person, which I greatly miss. But, he told me that he was charged with a shooting here in Cincinnati, was picked up, couldn't make bail, lost his job, and sit in jail in Hamilton County for over 6 months. But he couldn't have done the crime because he was actually at work, and his swipe card data, where he was going from his job, moving about, proved that he actually couldn't have committed the crime. He did avail himself of sealing up his case, but when you Google his name, his mugshot comes up in the top 10 search results. And you're going to wonder if that person is going to have a fair shot of getting a job. And there was a push about 2 years ago in Ohio to do something about that, and it didn't go anywhere. But court does have power to issue orders when something has been sealed. It doesn't exist, and an order can be directed to Google and take those images down, give that person entitled to the fairness and respect they deserve. I mean, he was exonerated. Case was dropped. He didn't do it.
Speaking with Chris Wagner. So, Chris, how many years were you a prosecutor in total?
Well, I was over 6 years up in Cleveland, and then I split my time with the Attorney General's office. I did more than just prosecution.
Okay.
I also did civil enforcement and civil actions.
Okay.
Representing a lot. So it was a mix in those years, which was about 9 years. It was a mix between criminal and administrative and civil defense.
Mm-hmm. When you were a criminal prosecutor, was there ever an instance or an example where you prosecuted members of law enforcement?
Yeah, actually, I prosecuted a prosecutor. I actually convicted a judge. I actually prosecuted a corrections officer for a sex crime. It was one of my first cases for the Attorney General's office. Yeah, no, I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you asked because, with the Black community, that's the focus. The focus is on criminal justice reform and electing individuals that understand that the problem isn't always with the citizens, that there are some systemic issues, and that we need people in these positions, even as judges, to have the courage to even, prosecute wrongdoing when it comes to members of law enforcement, which, in my opinion, and not just me, we don't always see.
Right. No, I agree with that. And I guess I say that the legal system, and I need to think even broader than just the criminal justice system, but, the legal system, that the two things that you have to battle against most, and I think that is the judge's ultimate responsibility, is a sense of complacency or a sense of cynicism. No one knows what the true story is when a case first lands in the courthouse, but everybody, both sides, are entitled to due process and an opportunity to have their say. And you got to make sure that it's free and objective, and that the jury knows that they're supposed to listen to both sides and give them the benefit and listen to the evidence and weigh that under the instructions. And so when I say that was always, I felt, the weakness, that you think, well, it's the same old every year and we make no progress. And it's no, every case is different and every case deserves the highest regard. And so those are the two things that I always notice that really come to the heart of justice reform, is battling those two, complacency and cynicism.
Mm-hmm. Speaking with Chris Wagner. And there is also a lot of critiques of the way that we, do our jury trials here in the state of Ohio, and specifically here in Hamilton County. In your opinion, I mean, do you believe there's any reforms that you support or reforms that should be put in place to make it a more equitable process?
I think so. And I think there's things that I would like to see implemented here that you can do more locally. I also think there needs to be a larger change for the state of Ohio as well. I've picked juries in Hamilton County, and we get our jury list off of the voter rolls from the Board of Election. I've prosecuted elsewhere where it's the voter rolls and the driver's license rolls. Okay. And, so it's two different lists that kind of come in. The challenge is to make sure, if you're using two lists, you're not putting two names, the same person in twice. They can only go in once. Right. And my practical biggest concern, which would have to try to find the proper method, is to make sure that people do get notice of a jury summons. And if you think about it, Nate, people vote typically in presidential election year, so every 4 years. People renew their driver's license every 5. But when you're younger, you're moving around a lot. You're not so stable. And if you're using old data and you didn't update your driver's license, or you didn't update your voter registration, you're not even going to get the summons. So, in effect, you're taking yourself out of the jury pool. And I think because of its importance to every county and every courthouse, I think that the state should assist in that and provide with updated addresses so people, get the summons. Now, not everybody's going to be able to serve. I understand that. But it should be fair, and it should go out, and everyone who gets noticed should get proper notice. We get a lot of returns for summons here in Hamilton County because the addresses have expired, But there's one thing that most every Ohioan does every year, which is pay their state income taxes. And usually they put their address on it. So there is a state agency that has the most updated address information. That'd be the Ohio Department of Taxation. So that's more of the change I like to see at a statewide level.
Speaking with Chris Wagner. So Chris, I mean, trial judge, right? So
Correct.
How would you deal with a scenario where you have a defendant who it appears doesn't have the legal representation, perhaps they can't afford it, right, that they need. And you can tell that the representation for this defendant is obviously overmatched. How would you deal with, from a judge perspective, how would you deal with a situation like that?
Well, I overmatched. I don't know if that's the proper analysis. I mean, here in Hamilton County, we have a great public defender's office with very dedicated attorneys, and they do the representation for many people. You know, a judge isn't really supposed to put their finger on the scales to tip it one way or the other, but that's not to, when you have the facts being fairly even, if you understand what I'm saying, Nate, that it's not really strong to one party or the other, the skill of the lawyer does really come into play, and when you're dealing with a trial, when you're the attorney with the burden, that is that you have to produce the evidence, it can kind of come in wrong. It's people. You ask people to recall what they saw or how they felt. A jury's going to weigh, they're going to weigh what those people say. And if they can't really connect or it doesn't seem right to them, they're going to tend to disbelieve. So, it is a complicated thing, but, I've tried many hard cases and I've always been amazed at what jurors can figure out and what they think is important and what they think isn't important.
Speaking with Chris Wagner. Hey, Chris, I mean, you talked earlier about, some of your advocacy and some of the activism and work, not activism, but advocacy and work you've done. I'm curious. I mean, again, the core of my audience is African-American. Throughout your time and your experience, have you worked with any Black focused organizations, NAACP, Black Lawyers Association, anything like that?
Well, currently I'm the president of the Cincinnati Bar Association this year, and I've been working very closely with the Black Lawyers Association, especially with the events that happen in Minnesota and, of course, now in Wisconsin, to try to talk about criminal justice reform, different criminal justice issues for the lawyers here. I mean, that's just something recently I've been working on. We just had a presentation this past week talking about the collaborative agreement, or at least the history of the collaborative agreement in Cincinnati. I think with a lot of the discussion about what's going on, especially events in Wisconsin, we tend to forget that the Cincinnati collaborative agreement was extremely radical upon its implementation. No other city has gone that far back then. It still remains more of a model and an aspiration for other law enforcement agencies to adopt those type of policing reforms. So that's the kind of good thing to make sure that the lawyers in our community, they're asking questions and they want to know. We're going to work on the second part on, the collaborative agreement as it is now and talk about how it's being implemented currently as opposed to the history. But, there has been a lot of discussion about what we can go ahead and do about diversity, especially in the practice of law, how important that is. That more voices are spoken in our courthouse and more voices are spoken in our legal system. So those are just recently, those are really important things that need to be done. And, the Bar Association, the Black Lawyers Association have worked closely for some time talking about this. And just with recent events, it just shows you that the work's never done and you have to work harder.
Speaking with Chris Wagner, he's running for Common Pleas Court here in Hamilton County. So, Chris, I mean, these questions, I'm just trying to get to the core of who you are. We're kind of meeting for the first time, and maybe this is the first time that a lot of people are hearing your voice. So trying to get a sense of who you are. I know you can't speak specifically about certain cases. So in general, just trying to get a sense of your opinion about certain things, including like what's happening right now, what's happening in the streets of not just Cincinnati, but a lot of cities throughout the country, after the death of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and others. You got a lot of Black folks who are wondering, how are we going to be protected? How do we protect our family members? There's been talk about Black Lives Matter as a movement. There's been talk about defund the police. What's your opinion about these things? I'm sure you've heard about them.
I mean, it's definitely been, to my mind, been a sea change of opinion just here locally. Again, the unfortunate thing is a lot of cities are getting painted with the same brush that that was up in Wisconsin. It's not. I mean, there are better police departments that run things in a different way. Throughout America, there were several police chiefs who were marching with protesters to trying to show unity. It wasn't all strife. And I think that needs to be, that needs to be understood. As far as the defund the police, I'm not even quite sure I understand all of the ramifications of that, but I think there should be a serious conversation. The fact that, and this is going to go back decades, but in the United States and in the state of Ohio, we dismantled much of our social safety net to help people who were in distress. And we did not replace that net with anything, simply hoping nonprofits would fill the void. And so when I talked about that people get caught up in the criminal justice system and they're sick, that's because they have no other place to go. And when you talk about the criminal justice, the system becomes like the safety net, and it's not a safety net. It's a law enforcement system to protect, people from violations of violence. But so I think there needs to be more of a focus on stabilizing people. There needs to be more of a focus on helping people in distress, especially with drug addiction, especially with mental illness. And I just, the example I want to give, Nate, is that, I took a group of foreign lawyers through our courthouse about 2 years ago, and they were observing some of our judges. And there was an incident that they were surprised by, and I thought it was the most mundane thing, didn't really think much of it, but it was a judge talking to someone on a probation violation. And the judge saying, you got to stabilize yourself. What are you doing to get better? Your parents are counting on you. Your family's counting on you. And these foreign lawyers were shocked by it because where they come from, judges never address anybody like that. But I guess, Nate, the point I'm trying to make is we've set up a system where the judiciary and the criminal justice system, it's a safety net. It's not designed to be that way. And you have a lot of conflict because of it. But there's nothing that's even on the horizon to replace this. So you might as well go ahead and lean into it and understand you have a responsibility. If you talk to many clear-eyed police officers, they don't want to keep arresting the same person over and over again because they know that they don't have housing and they're not taking their medication and they're on the outskirts of society. It's like, what good is that? Why is that police officer doing that? We need stability. We need to have a proper focus on breaking recidivism and getting people on a path where they can be helpful to themselves and not a danger.
Yeah, Chris, I agree with the core of some of that. Going back though to your first statement, I thought it was interesting. And you're saying, that some of these cities get painted with a broad brush. In my opinion, people in the city of Cincinnati and people in Cincinnati hit the streets after the death of George Floyd, right? We both know that. Yeah. And the reason that even though George Floyd wasn't killed in Cincinnati, in my opinion, because of the inequities, because of the systemic racism in the criminal justice system, do you agree that there's racism, systemic racism in the criminal justice system?
It needs to be it needs to be, if you ignore it, yes. And I don't want to qualify the answer, but that's the whole point. When you're trying to have a fair jury or trying to have fair respect, you need to have that sort of self-evaluation so it doesn't play a part.
Right. So it is.
You need to fight. You need to fight it all the time. And that's the whole, this whole cynicism and complacency. You got to make sure that it is fair each time, and you can't go soft on that. But I guess, Nate, I would also say that when people took the streets in Cincinnati, I mean, look at the people who did. It was a huge spectrum of people who have demanded change because it's just enough is enough.
Right.
Nothing's going to get fixed that needs to be done. And it was, it was in the city of Cincinnati, but it was also in some pretty nice suburbs where people were taking the streets right there, where people who probably never thought they'd do it in their lifetimes, but they did because they wanted to end.
Right.
And that's what needs, that's the larger focus. I wish I had an answer to it, but it does need to end, and a lot of people need to come together and take responsibility for it, but it needs to end. And
right.
And
we need people in leadership to stand up to it. But I just want to make sure I clarify. So it sounds like that was a yes to my question, and you do believe that systemic racism is alive and well in the criminal justice system. Is that a yes?
You need to fight it. You need to fight. You can't let it get in there. I guess that's the point. If you paint the whole system as being so flawed, then you're not going to engage properly in it. Think of it as it's a mechanism that you can go ahead and fight to make it to work to its best ability. And that you have to ask honest questions of your jury. That you have to really examine evidence fairly each time.
Mm-hmm.
Or else, because it's even beyond that. You can tell that people have biases and assumptions. It's how our brain tries to process information. If you ignore that, okay, you're not doing your client any good in a court of law.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. You could be the best fair juror and a fair, open-minded person, but in all reality, there are cases that some people just can't be fair on because they have a history or there's an association. They can't be there. And when people act, and they grab the sympathy of somebody, they're going to believe them more likely. But if somebody just, they don't have any sort of, should we say, association, they may not. And so you have to address those types of things. These are the types of problems in the system because everyone deserves to be heard. It was a case that was up in Cleveland. A good friend of mine was prosecuting. They kind of really kind of solidified that notion. When people who are a victim of a crime, seldom are they looking for punishment. They're looking to be believed. That means more to them than anything else, is that they were believed. A jury believed them or a judge believed them. And to be believed, you need the opportunity to tell your story, to tell you what happened and how it impacted you.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that because to me, the systemic racism starts with law enforcement. In some cases, it starts with that initial stop. As a judge, how do you deal with that?
Well, you have to apply the law, and you got to apply it fairly. But there were, Nate, there were certain tactics that have been used by law enforcement that were done by the law, which had an incredibly unforeseen and disparate impact upon people. 20 years ago, the Ohio legislature took driver's license away for people who were convicted of drug crimes. Well, in America, people still continue to drive, even if they don't have a license. But if you don't have a license and you get pulled over by that police officer, they're going to pull you out of a car and they're going to pat you down and they're going to impound the car, which means they get to go ahead and search the car. 20 years ago, Nate, this was considered fantastic police work because they were trying to take guns off the street. But you're taking people into custody over a traffic offense. what's the cost of that to society? So those are the type of things that need to be always re-examined. When what's worth it? Getting one gun off the street worth have all those people getting pulled over? That's honestly, Nate, that's for the Ohio legislature to have a hearing, and they need to hear from people about that, to weigh in on it, because it's the legislature that sets these laws. It's not a judge that creates them. So they need to hear that impact. They need to hear how that stuff impacts people when they evaluate and change the Ohio Revised Code.
Mm-hmm. Well, Chris, listen, I really appreciate your time. It's been very interesting. I want to give you the last words. You can talk directly to the audience. Also, tell us what your website is, and so people can get more information about you if they're interested.
Okay. Well, Nate, again, thanks for the opportunity. This is wonderful. My website is chriswagnerforjudge.com. It talks about my background, a lot of the things I talk about here. I have the opportunity to volunteer and help the campaign out. I think the most important thing I think I really want to say and lead on this note, if I may, Nate, is, as the Bar Association president, we've been asked by the Ohio Supreme Court to supply volunteer lawyers to staff the polls on Election Day, because there is a genuine fear that there is not going to be enough volunteers come November when we hold our elections. So I think really want to tell voters here in Hamilton County to vote early, get their applications in for an absentee ballot. You can drop your ballot off at the board headquarters in Norwood, and you can vote early. I think it's starting October 6th is the date, but you can vote early, and that's to help everybody. Take your time, be cautious about what you're doing, but make sure your vote's counted and vote early.
Hey, Chris, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you.
All right. Well, thanks, Nate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, most of that's Chris Wagner, everyone. He's running for Common Pleas Court trial judge. Wanted to give you an introduction, hear his voice, see his face, get a sense of his background, who he is, what he stands for. And, hopefully you can get something out of the interview. Hopefully you'll take that interview. He'll hopefully do some other interviews, put it together and make the best decision for yourself. All right. Every position matters. And we need more focus on some of these judge positions, in my humble opinion. More focus. Right. So let me keep it real here. How many times have you gone into the ballot and then you see these down ballot elections? You don't know who it is. You ain't never seen their name before, never heard them before, never heard an interview, have no idea, no sense of who these people are. Well, this morning, you'll get a chance to learn more about Chris. Now, we miss Ann Flotman. I'll try to circle back around and get her back on. She's running for a court position as well. And again, I want to speak with everybody. But it's a little bit past the top of the hour. I'm with you for a bit more time here. I want to give you a solid 2 hours, but I got to take a break, family. We'll come right back and finish the conversation. I'll read more of your comments. Also give you a heads up. Tomorrow will be the NAACP Prince Hall Masons town hall. And the first one is going to be the Hamilton County Sheriffs. I will be your moderator. Sin Digital Media will be the platform that will be hosting it. Of course, you can watch it on the NAACP's Facebook page and on Sin Digital Media's Facebook page as well. I'll give you more details about that and what to look forward for throughout the week. Don't go anywhere.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Black Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson. Virgil Abloh is one of the foremost figures in design. He's the artistic director of Louis Vuitton's menswear collection, and he started a scholarship fund to help young designers.
Me being one of the few Black designers at the head of a Parisian fashion house gives me a unique opportunity to sort of lead. I've started my postmodern scholarship fund, which works at the education level to make sure that there's inroads kept for young young Black designers to work in the fashion space.
And his scholarship fund is a form of advocacy.
Is fundraising, putting dollars where it matters to sort of make sure students are entering the road to having a career in design, fashion, creativity.
And he's been able to put the spotlight on Black talent.
My show in Shanghai was largely created by an all-Black creative team just to showcase the state of the art and how diversity and inclusivity can lead to great results.
Virgil Abloh. And that's your Bloomberg Black Business Report. I'm Donna Wilson.
Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start? And scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified, marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder.
You're listening to The Nathan Ivey Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
Hey, listen, everybody, if you haven't already done so, go over to Sin Digital Media's Facebook page and check out latest 2 podcasts from the Is It Just Me podcast, hosted by Donnie B. Also, the Dope Chicks Collective as well. A very interesting conversation. Strong Black voices, strong Black female voices. Good morning to you. We are just getting started. I love the digital age. I love the age that we live in now. COVID-19 has just put an underlined the importance of the digital world. And of course, family, we were already here. Good morning to you. What do you think about Chris Wagner? What do you think about his responses to my questions? Again, I'll say it again. If you have any questions, feel free. I think the best way to do it is to DM me with a question. Of course, tomorrow we'll kick off a series of 3 NAACP Prince Hall Masons town halls that I will be moderating myself. Tomorrow it's at 6 p.m. The first one will be the Hamilton County Sheriff's. Again, on Wednesday will be the second one. That'll be the Hamilton County Prosecutor between Fanon Rucker and Joe Dieters, who is the incumbent. The incumbent in the Hamilton County Sheriff's race is not running. He did not get through the Democrat primary, so it'll be Charmaine McGuffey and Bruce Hoffbauer. Very important positions. These are high-profile positions, and we want to talk about, what they mean to us in particular, to non-white folks, to the African-American community, to Black folks that live in Hamilton County. It's very, very important. When you see the feed go up, please like and in particular share it so as many people can be a part of the conversation as possible. And of course, the NAACP has questions. I have questions I'm still preparing. If you have questions in real time, I'll try to mix them into the conversation as well. So all politics are local. So good morning to you. A lot of questions coming in, comments coming in. Some people were happy. People were happy that we wasn't talking to. People was happy that we wasn't talking to Drop. Yeah, that Drop is a good guy, man. He's got his opinion. It is what it is. Great. Hey, good morning, Ebony. Good morning to you. See, TNT is calling in. Got to talk to her, one of the dope chicks, and of course with the NAACP as well. Let me hook her up really, really quickly and see what's on her mind this morning. Hey, TNT, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan, and good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just wanted to call a few things. Great interviews, of course, with Mr. Wagner. We look forward to, interviewing his race as well in the following month. Hopefully, Donnie B or some other individuals will be able to moderate our judicial forums. But I was calling 2 things. One about the 2020 My Vote Matters town hall, virtual town hall tomorrow that will be hosted by you, which is going to be awesome. So starting with the sheriff's race, and then Wednesday is actually the clerk of courts.
Oh, okay, that's right.
There was a small mix-up over the weekend with the dates. The prosecutor's race is the 8th. So
the 8th, right.
Following week. And so if you check the Cincinnati NAACP Facebook page, there should be an updated flyer. I know that it was the first one was circulated a lot. Just the dates were mixed up, but do apologize for that. And like I said, so this week is going to be the sheriff and the clerk of court. Next week will be the prosecutor's race. We'll be doing both the county commissioners' races, which I believe Lincoln Ware will be moderating those, and we have the treasurer's race and also the recorder's race. So, and there's individuals there, but I don't want to confuse people. When we get to that week, we'll talk more about it. So, I also wanted to talk about Chadwick Boseman. Of course, early this morning, like a lot of parents, I had to get my kids off to virtual school, make sure that they're in their classes and tuning in and staying on top of all of that. So that seemed to be working out fine. But Chadwick Boseman, that was on my fantasy side, so that hurt me a different kind of way. I don't know how you feel when you lose someone from your fantasy side. Him and Idris Elba. So that hurt me a different kind of way. But I have lost someone dear to me from cancer, and I actually wrote about it in my book. I Want My Daddy, The Psychology of Abandonment. And I wrote about my stepdad, and it was my first encounter with death. I was a young girl, 5 years old, and anybody knew my dad. He was the type that, was a prankster and, loved Halloween, loved scaring people, loved, doing jokes. And so he had this big, curly, Jerry curl back in the day. And his hair is long, kind of almost remind me of Ryan from Black Ink's crew, if anybody watch that. That's what it kind of looked like. And so he had the long, curly Jerry curl. And then one day he came in and it was bald. He was bald. And he asked me to come in and he was like, I hope you're not afraid of me because I don't have my hair anymore. And I'm just looking at him, I'm 5, little kid. I'm just like, no, I know it's still you. I'm not afraid of you or anything. And, but he also had like these patches on his chest and stuff. And I didn't think anything of it. Nobody told me that he had cancer. Nobody told me he was dying. And that's probably the biggest thing I regret or resent is that I didn't know that he was dying. And so when it happened, it's just like, one day he's home, he's resting, then he went to the hospital and he never came back. And it was like, he's dead. And for a little small child, I was not able to really, it wasn't real. It wasn't real until, the funeral. And even at the funeral, it wasn't real to me because I'm thinking of my dad. He's always playing, and so I'm thinking the whole time he's about to pop out of that coffin like, surprise, just fooling all of y'all. I'm as a little kid sitting in the pew waiting for him to jump out and say, it's a joke. And it wasn't until they closed that casket that it became real. Like he really is dead. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to get upset. When I think about it, it just I remember just like screaming, like just wailing when that happened, like, because it wasn't to that moment that I knew he was really gone. And then it was just like the whole church just started to just wail and cry with me. And so I understand that, Chadwick Boseman, he kind of kept this from everybody, and it hurt in a different kind of way. It's just because it was a surprise. People was not prepared for that or ready for that. And of course, that's his choice. And he probably didn't want people to feel sorry for him or anything else. But I think as a child, had I known that he was sick, or going back to my stepdad, that he was dying, I would have spent more time with him. I would have where I would have, told him I loved him and everything else. I just thought I had more time. I thought I had another day, and I didn't. And so that it just brings me back to men's health, because, what happened to Chadwick Boseman is that, when he found out about it, he was already at a latter stage, a progressive stage of the cancer, stage 3. And so, why is that? Like, more than just what we're eating, we have to go to the doctor and we have to get those uncomfortable checkups. And you have to take care of yourself. We can't ignore signs and acute pains in our bodies and just things that don't feel right. And we can't allow, people to tell us, doctors, because it's misdiagnosis as well. But if something don't feel right, you have to go back for a second opinion. But it's just like almost in our community, like we may not even have health insurance. And if we have health insurance, the cost of it keeps you from a lot of times even utilizing. Like, we only go to the emergency. We only go when it's just too at the most extreme. And we got to do more pre-checkups to catch these things, because if it was caught earlier, he could have had a better chance of surviving this. And so I think the conversation around, Chadwick Boseman has to be that men and women, we just have to, we should be getting a doctor's appointment, setting one up right now, and just getting those things checked and be mindful of our bodies and things that, don't feel right or whatever the case, or just having our regular physical so we could catch these things, so we could be here for the people that love us and that we love, right? So, that's all. I ain't mean to get all emotional and stuff, but
it's all good.
But it's just serious. It's sad, and just want everybody to live, their longest and best life. And I'm proud of that man, Chadwick Boseman, because he did live with purpose, and that's all of us can really do. My cousins say all the time, that dash between the year you was born and the year you die should mean something. Look at people's graves. We help with a lot of obituaries at times, and sometimes you have family members and they can't really say or just think of like what this person's life was. And, so you got to think to yourself, are you living your life with purpose? Are you doing the things that matter, whatever that is? And it's a reflection of you and your legacy almost. So we always should be operating in that idea, and not just living just to live and day by day, but really living your life with purpose. So, okay. Y'all have a great day. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow and checking out these forums. And it's going to be awesome. And thank you again. All right.
Appreciate you. That's TNT right there. Real people, real emotions. I don't have a problem with it. I'm a very emotional. I'm a Virgo. Virgos are very emotional. That's what makes me good at what I do. I give a damn. I'm not just talking. I feel it. And she was talking about a personal situation there. Hey, Kelly. Good morning, everybody. And thank you for the clarification. I did already know that and just misspoke on it. So that's the correct promo right there. Tomorrow, the sheriff's race is 6 p.m. The day after, on September the 2nd, the clerk of court's race. And then the prosecutor's race will be next Tuesday, September the 8th. September the 8th is 6 p.m. And I'll be your moderator. And Sin Digital Media will be your host for all of the upcoming events. Looking forward to it. Should be interesting. Should be very interesting. And I will try to mix your questions in and try to make the very best. Hold the candidates accountable. Democrat, Republican, independent, makes no difference to me. I want to get to the heart of the matter. Who is best for us? Because this is the NAACP Prince Hall Mason. Prince Prince Mason's town hall, if I can get it all out. So it's about us. And I want to get to the crux of the matter that's with them during these town halls and try to make the best of the time that we have. Crucial decisions. And the decisions in these races could change the near future of Cincinnati. These are leadership positions. These are leadership, top executive leadership positions. And it all matters. So make sure you tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Appreciate TNT being so raw and so real. But let me talk about Chadwick Boseman for a second in the sense of your health. I'm on the American Cancer Society's website right now, and they've got 6 ways to lower your risk for colorectal cancer. And I want to share this with you. Number 1 is get screened for colorectal cancer. Get screened. Number 2 is eat lots of vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. Good vegetables, right? Cruciferous fruits. Eat less red meat, beef, pork, lamb, processed meats. That's hot dogs, lunch meat, things like that. We eat this crap because they put these little nice things on the box that says 100% natural or something like that. And they get you. Get regular exercise. If you're not physically active, you have a greater risk of developing colon or rectal cancer. I'll say it again. If you're not physically active, you have a greater risk of developing colon and or rectal cancer. Get off the couch. Take your phone with you. What's stopping you from walking during COVID-19? Nothing. It's a choice that you're making. Put down the video games and walk for 30 minutes a day. You can't walk for 30 minutes a day to live a long, healthy life. That's it. That's easy. If you can't do 30 minutes, you like 30 minutes, do a quick 15. Walk in one direction for 7 minutes and then turn around and walk back. Get a 15-minute walk in. And then after your dinner, your supper, do another 15-minute walk. Walk in one direction for 7 minutes and then turn around and walk back to your house. Boom, you got 30 minutes in that day. It's just that simple. There's nothing stopping you. Watch your weight. The American Cancer Society says that being overweight or obese increases your risk of getting and dying from colon and rectal cancer. You can do it. I know it seems tremendous in some cases, but you can do it. It is possible. Don't smoke. Long-term smokers are more likely than non-smokers to develop and die from colon and or rectal cancer. If you're smoking right now, we're talking about tobacco products. Quit. I would say that to my marijuana users. If you're smoking marijuana, I would seriously think about changing your habits. You know, maybe you go to edibles. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't stop altogether, but we're not even talking about what it does to your lungs. This is something to think about. It is possible. You know what I'm saying? Limit your alcohol use. Alcohol use has been linked with higher risk of colorectal cancer. That's it. I mean, those 5 things, all of these things you have complete control over. COVID-19 ain't stopping none of this. COVID-19 might slow it down or it might, make it longer the process for you to get a colorectal cancer screening, but you can do it. COVID-19 is not stopping you from eating vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. You know what I'm saying? You do not have to eat meat every time you have something to eat. You don't have to. It's just a choice you're making. And if you're going to eat meat, I recommend that you do the homework to understand the difference between good quality and bad quality meats. There is a huge difference. If you're eating meat, as much as possible, you should be trying to eat 100% grass-fed as much as possible. As much as possible. And you should be trying to stay away from the processed meats. Especially in your 40s and 50s, you can't eat like you're a teenager. You cannot. Now, there's exceptions to every rule. There's some folks that genetically have a different disposition. But generally speaking, you can't do that, homie, without having serious consequences. I personally recommend going more plant-based and eating meat at a minimum. Make it a special occasion when you eat meat. You can get just as strong, get just as more protein by eating plant-based. People do it. People are doing it. And even within the plant-based world, there's some things you want to keep your eyes on. Getting that regular exercise, again, start this way. Walk 7 minutes away from your house in a certain direction. And then when you hit that 7-minute mark or that 8-minute mark, turn around and come back. Boom, you got 15 minutes in. Just like that. And 8 minutes, you're amazed at just how short of a distance that really is. You'd be amazed by that. You can get 15 minutes in before your dinner at some point during the day. Okay, maybe you got to get up a little earlier and walk 15 minutes. 8 minutes in one direction, come back 16 minutes. Do the same thing after your dinner. Matter of fact, it's probably even better for you to walk after your dinner as well, because you're going to help decrease your blood sugar, which will have an impact on your weight. You got some folks out there that are straight up addicted to smoking, and I understand it. We all have our habits. I 100% get it, but try. There's people out there that's addicted to alcohol. You got to have your wine every night. You got to have your liquor every night. I get it, but try it. And those are all things that can decrease or lower your risk for colorectal cancer, colon and rectal cancer. I'm on entertainment or EW.com, Entertainment Weekly. There's a very interesting post about Chadwick Boseman. They talk with some fans of the Black Panther movie. And most people are saying that they don't think that anybody should be recast in the movie. They should stop making them or maybe move in a different direction. That's my sense as well. I felt the same way about the Black Panther as I did those Blade movies with Wesley Snipes. Again, I liked it for the same reason, because it was so many few black heroes. On Twitter, somebody writes, "Don't recast. He can't be replaced. Don't recast that role at Marvel Studios. It's done." We'll see what they do. I do know that in the comic books that the mythology and the story of Black Panther has blossomed. They got like a series of different Wakanda inspired themes. One is called the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda, where Wakanda's empire is now intergalactic, meaning that it's non-terrestrial space. There's one in which Siri becomes the new Black Panther and the ruler of Wakanda, which you may or may not be fond of. It'll be interesting to see which way they go. But I agree. I just thought that, Chadwick Boseman played it perfectly. I can't imagine anybody else at this point picking up the role like, hey, I'm black, like they do with the Batman movies. I don't think they can do that. I think they should move in a different direction with a whole different sort of narrative if they're going to pick up Black Panther, maybe picking up on some of the current comic books and just kind of let that series die. But that's just me. We'll see. What do you think, fans of the series, fans of the movie? 513-873-7134. Let's take our last call this morning and say good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, it's Kevin Overfield.
Hey, what's up, Kev?
How's it going, Nathan?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Welcome.
So, the one caveat to what you just said, I kind of do feel that way. However, we finally got a black superhero. I don't know that we don't want to have a black superhero. So that's the only thing, right? So you broke the glass ceiling or whatever you want to call it of actually getting a superhero. Now you gotta develop a whole new story or find a new storyline to have a black superhero. It might need more. It might need more to keep producing going and recast. And also, just to kind of put it out there, there's a lot of black folks that worked on that movie. And I like seeing folks for jobs.
Hey, Kev. Hey, Kev, you're breaking up, bro. I'll tell you what, let's hang up and call me right back. Sometimes, like, resetting the system can reset the phone call. I don't understand all the technological aspects of it, but I've just noticed his work sometime. And then real quick, I want to talk about my observations as we get started for a brand new school year. I know the CPS kicked off their school year. Everybody is digital. I don't know what the numbers are. Have they released the numbers on what percentage of people have decided to go to the digital academy? as opposed to stay with their homeschool. I'd be interested in knowing and reporting on that. Hey, Kev, you're back, brother. You were breaking up really, really badly.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Sounding good. No, I'm sure it was nothing you did. Yeah, you sound great. You sound nice and strong. Good signal.
Fantastic. All right. So what I was saying was, maybe it's more important that we actually keep, that we keep a black superhero in play, right? Because we're going to end up having to do a whole new series, a whole new that could really take some doing. And there's a lot of black people that were employed by that series. So I don't know if we want to lose that. So that's that. But now, what I really called about that, you just brought that up and it was interesting. But what I really called about is I worked for a nonprofit. It was called Prostate Education Research and Training. And the one thing I want to say about the colorectal cancer screenings, it is important that you know that the age that they recommend screening is 50 actually for white men and 45 for black men. I worked for this company a while ago, and when I did finally go to get my screening, I also got a bill for $350 because it wasn't covered by the insurance because I got it before the time that is recommended. So, I'm not saying that to deter anybody, but I do want folks to be aware that if you go in and you get, something that's called an elective, right, you may end up getting an additional bill, and that is hard. Now, the flip to that is we need to work hard to make sure that since there are these disparities between Africans throughout the diaspora and the predominant community, right, we need to work to make sure that they change standards for us if we have a predilection to getting things that other folks don't have. Sickle cell being one. We have these different makeups that could cause us to have some health differences, right? And so we need to move to making sure that folks are taking that into consideration and making sure that they are covered under our policies. Because you're doing great if every time I pay my policy premium, you don't have to cover anything. And as soon as I get something, you're gone. Also, that's a segue for all you folks out there that are against universal health care and the fact that we need to make sure that pre-existing conditions are cared for. You do away with Affordable Care Act, you do away with all those protections, and we know who wants to do away with them. So y'all need to go out and do your job. But that's all I got, Nathan, man. Rest in peace to Brother Chadwick. And blessings to everyone out there. Everyone stay safe and just stay safe.
Yeah, take it easy. Yes. Brother Kev on the cell. Appreciate him. And real quickly, we've kicked off the first week of digital learning. And it's quite interesting how humans have adapted, how the schools are adapted. And props to CPS for the work they put into it, making sure that all CPS students were able to get the necessary tools that they need, laptops, whatever, so they could get online. I'm in a very interesting position. Maybe it's similar to yours. Maybe it's not, where I'm on both ends of the CPS spectrum. I have a son who just entered. Today is his first day. He's actually upstairs, I believe, in his bedroom. I'm in, again, a privileged position because I'm married to a beautiful Black woman who has a doctorate in education, where she can at home school him if necessary and is technologically savvy enough to be able to navigate and to work with him right now. I'm able to do what I'm doing right now, because my wife is currently working with our son and helping to navigate with him with his first virtual learning. And I'm very appreciative of that, very much so. I'm in a position that maybe some people may not be in, where you got single parents who are out there trying to juggle their jobs and also juggling working with their children. And it's a difference. It's a difference for the parents. This hits differently because, we were looking forward to sending our son off to school, right? And he's in the care of other people for the next 6-7 hours while we do what we do, right? Then he comes home and we hope everything's going to be okay. And now with the digital learning, at least for a kindergartner who, he knows how to get on his little shows on Netflix or, Amazon Prime or whatever, Hulu or whatever he's watching, Disney Plus, right? Whatever he's watching. But trying to navigate during a Google Meet is a little bit different. Now, I have confidence that he's a fast learner and he'll catch up really, really quickly. But these first couple of days, this first week or so, especially for the parents of younger children, first graders, kindergartners, oh, this is something different, because the wifey is sitting right by him right now in class with him as I speak, just helping him navigate all the prompts and, making sure he's on task. So like I said, 2020 is a stress test for all of us, personally, family-wise, business-wise, as a community, and even the CPS. This is going to be a stress test for the teachers. It's going to be different. I can imagine this being more work for the teachers out there. So props to them. I wish them a safe and sane school year. I know some of y'all got, and you're not even watching right now, but maybe you'll watch it later. I know some of y'all have been pushed in situations that maybe you don't want to be in, but I appreciate the sacrifice and what you're doing for all of our children, not just mine as well. Then, of course, on the other end of the spectrum, I got a 10th grader, and she's far more technologically savvy. In some cases, she even takes care of the technology inside the house, helps out daddy in rare occasions. She thinks she's the tech. She thinks she's the Siri of the house. I keep telling you, I'm the Siri of the house. Okay, until otherwise notified. So it's been quite interesting. Some challenges, something different for parents. Parents are being asked to be more involved, right, than perhaps that you were prepared to do. But all it's going to do, if you got the right attitude, is make us all stronger. So I wish the best. And I'll report back. At this point, we've had no issues with either the tools given to us by CPS or getting on to the digital learning. Everything seems to be working the way that they thought it was going to work. But again, we taking these steps together. You know what I'm saying? And for parents out there that's got like kids of different ages, and you also got a younger child and you got to work, I don't know how you're doing it. Props to you. I know maybe you got family members stepping in, or you just got to make it work somehow. But again, it's going to be an interesting experience for all of us. And again, I'll let you go. I'm not going to go on and on and on. I'll be back with you bright and early tomorrow at 8 a.m. We'll chop it up. Hopefully you found these flows this morning entertaining or educational. Hope you got something out of it. Really appreciate your time this day. We'll be back tomorrow and throughout the week with more local conversations or conversations with local elected officials and people that are running for elected office. And then, of course, tomorrow at 6 p.m., you can check out the first of a series of town halls from the NAACP Prince Hall Masons, which I'll be moderating. And again, tomorrow will be the Hamilton County Sheriff race at 6 p.m. Okay. Have an excellent rest of your day. Now, coming up this Saturday is going to be our first tactical training. I'm going to reach out to everybody shortly within the next hour just to confirm, make sure you're all good, get that information to Forte. We have a little bit of wiggle room. I'm willing to keep the door open until Wednesday. But after that, I want to make sure I don't want to be last minute, people trying to get it on Friday and Saturday morning. I ain't got time for that. We've been talking about it and promoting it long enough. So I'll leave it open until Wednesday so that Forte and his crew have enough time to get everything done, and so that I can just sort of lock everything in and don't have to worry about it. Looking forward to it. We're going to go out and get tactical gun training out on the outdoor range with the good folks from Ride or Die. Again, the opportunity is still open. We still have a few spots open. I need to get confirmation from you by Wednesday in order for you to take advantage of that opportunity. The cost is $100 with a $20 down payment. You can send that $20 down payment, and that confirms you to PayPal or Cash App Nathan Ivey Show. Okay. If you're interested, this Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 noon, we'll be out in Waynesville, and I can give you the details. If you're interested, direct message me. We only got a few spots available, and then Wednesday's got the cutoff date because I just don't want to have to think about it after that. I want to shift my attention to actually the day of and not really getting everybody together. So again, the opportunity is still there until Wednesday. It's for CCW, holders, people who have already gone through the CCW class. If you're interested, let me know. Hit me with a direct message, and I will confirm with you. Have an excellent rest of your day. Viva La Chapas. Thank you for being here, Facebook. Please share today's show. And we'll be back real soon. Don't go anywhere. Stay tight. If you're not connected on YouTube, please subscribe to the show on YouTube. You can follow me on Facebook as well. Have an excellent rest of your Monday, and I'm out.